It began on a night when the air itself felt like a held breath, heavy with expectancy, trembling with the weight of something that had not yet happened but was already burning through the edges of time. The stage was midnight black, a smooth expanse of silence waiting to be broken. The audience didn't know what they were waiting for, only that something extraordinary was about to appear. No one could fully explain it, but every person present felt the same thing: the electricity of destiny. And then, through the dim rising mist, two silhouettes walked onto the stage, one tall and graceful with gentle poise, the other sharp, precise, and burning with quiet fire. Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo. No announcement, no spotlight, just presence, calm but devastating. The world seemed to stop breathing. Rumor had spread earlier that day about a performance the two had crafted privately, secretly, without any cameras, producers, or crew involved. A dance they had been working on for months, one that only the walls of the rehearsal room had witnessed. No one expected them to show it. No one thought they would ever bring it to the stage. But they were here, and their eyes said everything. The music hadn't even started yet, but something in the atmosphere shifted, the sharp click of invisible tension snapping into place. Wang Yibo stepped slightly to the side, ready to move, ready to strike, ready to let everything he held inside him explode through motion. Xiao Zhan lifted his chin, the softness in his gaze replaced by an intensity that swallowed the distance between them. Then the first note hit. A single, trembling piano chord. Clean, fragile, almost like a wound. Xiao Zhan moved first, slowly, as if waking from a long dream. His fingers brushed through the air, leaving behind a trail of invisible silver. He turned into the music, letting it fold around him, letting it pull him apart. The crowd leaned forward without realizing it. Wang Yibo followed, not mirroring him, not opposing him, but weaving into him. His movements were sharp, deliberate, slicing through Xiao Zhan's soft arcs like lightning threading through silk. Together, their bodies told a story no words had ever dared to hold. The choreography was unlike anything anyone had ever seen them perform. It wasn't about elegance or technique. It wasn't even about performance. It was intimate, terrifyingly honest. Their bodies collided and separated with a rhythm that felt almost too personal, as if the audience were intruding on something sacred. Xiao Zhan spun backward, his breath catching, and Wang Yibo's hand shot out, stopping him inches before he fell into darkness. Their eyes locked. A dangerous, silent question passed between them. And then the music shifted. The piano melted into a low, trembling drum, steady, pulsing like a heartbeat on the edge of breaking. Their steps synchronized. Their shadows merged. They began to move with a precision that defied reason, like two halves of the same force, fighting and embracing, pulling and resisting, unable to exist without the other. Xiao Zhan leapt, and Wang Yibo caught him, not with practiced ease but with a fierce urgency, as if the dance were not choreography but survival. The crowd gasped. This was not just performance. It was confession. The lights dimmed further until only a thin beam illuminated them. Every breath became visible. Every glance became a spark. Their movements grew quicker, sharper, more desperate, as though they were in a race against the dissolving edges of time. Wang Yibo's footwork struck the floor like lightning bolts, while Xiao Zhan's sweeping lines carved emotions through the air that words had never dared name. The dance was beautiful, yes, but it was also dangerous, because with every passing moment, it revealed more truth than either of them had ever spoken aloud. Then, without warning, the music stopped. Dead silence. Xiao Zhan froze mid-turn. Wang Yibo halted inches from him. Their breaths echoed across the stillness. Their hands hovered near each other but didn't touch. The audience waited, suspended in a moment that felt endlessly stretched. And then the lights flickered. A murmur rippled through the room. Another flicker. The sound system hissed sharply and abruptly died. The stage fell into complete darkness. A collective shock surged through the hall. No one moved. No one spoke. Only the faint echo of the unfinished music remained, haunting the air with the ghost of the dance that had been violently cut short. For 20 long seconds the world stayed black. When the emergency lights finally blinked on, the stage was empty. Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo were gone. The audience erupted into chaos, calling, shouting, trying to understand what had happened. Some thought it was part of the performance. Others believed something catastrophic had occurred. And those who had witnessed the look in their eyes during the dance knew one thing for certain. Something larger than a performance had just happened. And something far from ordinary was about to unfold. Backstage, the atmosphere was a storm of confusion. Crew members ran back and forth, trying to restore power. But no matter what anyone did, the stage remained eerily dead. And then someone spotted them. Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo stood alone in the dim corridor behind the stage, the faint glow of a single emergency light illuminating their faces. Sweat dripped down their temples. Their chests rose and fell heavily. Their expressions were unreadable, somewhere between shock, relief, and something deeper. Something the dance had nearly exposed completely. Neither spoke. Wang Yibo ran a hand through his hair, trying to slow his breath. Xiao Zhan leaned against the cool wall, eyes still burning with the fire of the unfinished choreography. "What just happened?" a crew member stammered. Xiao Zhan didn't answer immediately. He simply lifted his gaze, meeting Wang Yibo's again, as if searching for confirmation, for grounding, for truth. Wang Yibo stepped closer, not close enough to touch, but close enough that the air between them pulsed. "It wasn't the power," he said quietly. "It was us." A silence thicker than darkness settled between them, because deep down they both knew what he meant. The dance had gone too far. Too raw. Too honest. It was never meant for a public stage. Not because it wasn't spectacular, but because it revealed the hidden language only the two of them understood. A language of glances, breath, rhythm, and tension. A language that had been building for years. A language that, once shown to the world, could never be taken back. Xiao Zhan exhaled shakily. "We didn't finish it. We can't finish it," Wang Yibo replied. But even he didn't sound convinced. Because the truth was, the dance wasn't simply unfinished. It was impossible to finish without crossing a line neither of them had dared to step over. Not yet. The world erupted online within minutes. Clips of the partial performance spread like wildfire. Fans analyzed every movement, every look, every brush of distance. Rumors exploded. Speculation about why the stage had gone dark, about what the dance truly meant. The unfinished dance became the most searched phrase for days. Hashtags trended globally. People wrote theories, essays, poems. But no one could decipher the mystery at the heart of it, because only Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo knew what truly happened in those electrified moments. The silence that followed the blackout never truly left the world. It lingered like a question no one could answer. People replayed the last 10 seconds of the dance endlessly. The part where Xiao Zhan's hand almost brushed against Wang Yibo's chest, where their shadows almost melted into one. The moment before everything vanished into darkness. It became the most discussed few seconds in the global dance community, a phenomenon that refused to fade. But what the world didn't know was that something much deeper had happened during those final seconds, something neither Xiao Zhan nor Wang Yibo had expected. Backstage, after the power failed, the two didn't move right away. They simply watched each other through the dim emergency light, as if the dance had unlocked a truth they both feared and needed at the same time. Xiao Zhan's fingers were still trembling with the echo of the choreography that should have continued. Wang Yibo's chest rose and fell with the weight of unsaid emotion. Neither spoke of the unfinished ending in public, but in their minds, that moment replayed endlessly. Xiao Zhan remembered the exact second before the blackout, the warmth of Wang Yibo's presence, the electric pull between them, the sensation that they were seconds away from revealing everything they had poured into the dance. Wang Yibo remembered the same moment but differently. To him, it was the instant he felt the performance stop being a performance and become something undeniably real. Days later they met again. Quietly, away from reporters, away from the endless online theories, away from the noise. The world wanted answers. Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo wanted clarity. And the only place either of them could find that was in the studio where it all began. The room was empty that evening, kissed only by the soft gold of the setting sun through the tall windows. Dust hung in the air like tiny floating memories, silent witnesses to every rehearsal they had shared. Xiao Zhan arrived first, pressing play on the speaker to hear the opening piano note again. It echoed softly, lonely, like an unfinished sentence. Wang Yibo entered moments later, the door closing behind him with a solid thud. When he looked at Xiao Zhan, it wasn't with the confidence he was known for on stage. It was with quiet intensity, a question hidden behind calm eyes. "You came," Xiao Zhan said softly. "You knew I would," Wang Yibo replied. There was no small talk, no hesitation, only the weight of what their dance had started. The world believed the power outage was an accident, a malfunction, but the two of them felt something entirely different, a force neither of them could describe. They stepped onto the center of the room automatically, drawn by a rhythm that had never left their bones. Xiao Zhan lifted his arm, testing the first movement, and Wang Yibo moved into position without thinking, their bodies falling back into perfect synchronization like they were born to follow the same beat. But this time something changed. The moment their eyes met in the reflection of the studio mirror, the tension hit them again. Unbreakable, familiar, dangerous. Xiao Zhan swallowed hard, suddenly aware of how close Wang Yibo's hand was to his waist. Wang Yibo noticed the way Xiao Zhan's breath stuttered slightly, the way his fingers curled as if he were holding himself back. The music resumed exactly where the performance had collapsed. The deep, trembling drum kicked in, and the air shifted. Their movements grew sharper, more deliberate, filled with the unspoken energy that had exploded on stage the night of the blackout. Every step felt like a confession. Every turn felt like a truth they were too afraid to say. Every breath seemed shared. Xiao Zhan swept across the room with a spinning turn so sharp it sliced the air. Wang Yibo caught him again, just like that night, but this time he didn't release immediately. His hands lingered, steady, strong, almost protective. Xiao Zhan's breath hitched, his heartbeat thundering louder than the music. He felt something he couldn't name, something he couldn't ignore. "You felt it too, right?" Xiao Zhan whispered, not breaking the choreography. Wang Yibo didn't answer at first. He simply moved, guiding Xiao Zhan into the next step, their bodies weaving together like a story written in motion. Then softly he said, "The moment before the lights went out, we were about to cross a line." Xiao Zhan stopped moving for half a second, a pause so subtle only someone who knew him as well as Wang Yibo would notice. "What line?" Xiao Zhan asked, though his voice already knew the answer. "The one we've been dancing around for years," Wang Yibo said. The air thickened. The music swelled. Their bodies collided in a breathtaking lift, Xiao Zhan rising effortlessly, Wang Yibo grounding him with unwavering strength. Their faces came dangerously close. Too close. The kind of closeness that the world had never seen between them. The kind of closeness that explained everything the dance had been trying to say. The moment ended abruptly when Xiao Zhan slipped, not from lack of skill, but from overwhelming emotion. Wang Yibo caught him instantly, arms locking around him, and for a long second neither moved. Their breaths mingled. Their hearts raced. "This is why the dance can't be finished on stage," Wang Yibo murmured. Xiao Zhan lifted his gaze, eyes bright with both fear and clarity. "Because it's not a dance anymore," he whispered. Wang Yibo nodded, his grip tightening slightly. "It's truth." The studio felt alive with their heartbeat, with their realization, with the electricity that had almost destroyed the stage during the live performance. They didn't complete the dance that evening. They didn't need to. The unfinished part wasn't choreography. It was the meaning behind it. It was everything they couldn't say under the lights, everything the world wasn't meant to see. And yet the world could still feel it. That's why the dance haunted millions. That's why it trended for weeks. That's why people replayed the moment before the blackout over and over again. Because everyone sensed the truth at its core. The raw energy, the connection, the invisible thread that pulled Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo together in a way mere choreography could never explain. The dance remained unfinished on stage, but completed in the quiet heartbeat of a studio, where only the two of them knew what truly happened. When the world went dark. If you loved this continuation and want more breathtaking moments between Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories.